What's up, summoners? Kingler here. Today, we're going to be talking about the current banner heroes, Bassar and Lidica. If you like the video, make sure you like, subscribe, and join the Discord server, linked down in the description. Now, I haven't been able to stream, and my schedule has been very hectic recently, but it should be going back to a little bit more normalcy next week, and we should be streaming again, so make sure you're subscribed and have that bell for when that happens. We're doing amazing in RTA right now. We're easily top 30, which is really, really nice, so make sure you're subbed to get for those streams that are going to be hype. Right, enough about that, enough about the channel. Let's talk about what you came here for, Bassar and Lidica. Now, I always like starting these videos with a short summary so you guys can start getting in the mindset of what I'm thinking about and what I think about the unit before we go to the skills and the stats. So first, for Bassar, if you are someone that is trying to be competitive in PvP, he is a unit I highly, highly recommend you pull. He is really, really strong. Even though he has counters like Holiday Eupheme and even units like A Tywin, the fact that you can still push back, strip buffs, apply Enable to be buffed, it's just so many debuffs, and the fact that you can just soul burn it and ignore effect resistance, it's so freaking good. Even for early game players, you're gonna want him for PvP. He is that strong. He is really strong. And you might be thinking, oh, maybe I don't have the speed gear. There are other slower builds that work just as good as the fast builds. So just know, Bassar, really, really good. Highly considered you pull for PvP. Now, Lidica is in a weird spot because she has potential to be extremely powerful in PvP, in Arena and RTA, and even Guild Wars. And she has a very strong presence in Abyss and some raid stages. Particularly in Abyss, her ultimate comes in clutch in a lot of Abyss stages. I sadly don't have it, but I've seen so many guys with her, and she is quite good at doing her job. Now, while she does have potential to be a very powerful counter pick, and I see her being pretty good in the future meta, there are still some flaws with her, and it comes down to preference. If you decide to pull for her, it's not like, oh, you wasted your bookmark. She is a good unit. If you're someone that is kind of short on supplies, you don't have that many summons that you can use, that many bookmarks, I would actually recommend that you save those bookmarks for a potential limited that is going to be coming out this December. We all know it's going to be coming out, right? So it most likely will be a limited. So just know that before you pull for Lidica. Strong unit, and we'll talk about where she's strong, where she shines. Maybe even a sleeper, but it's not something you're going to be using as much as some other units like Bassar or in the future. But she does also counter Bassar too, which is kind of crazy. But first, let's actually start with Lidica, because I kind of want to show you guys why she doesn't see as much play and why I think she's actually a very powerful unit too. And you shouldn't just like disregard her, right? Because she actually does have potential. So right now, RTA has been feeling a lot faster and a lot more aggressive, so I definitely see the space for her to come in and shine. So first, let's look at the stats. The most impressive stats that she has is going to be the speed. The speed is really, really freaking good. It's one of the higher base speeds in the game. Due to that, though, she has no defensive stats, but a surprisingly high amount of attack, right? So her HP, really, really low. Her defense, it's average. It's like Rylot, so it's not super high. So very, very squishy unit, but extremely fast. And she can actually use that speed and give herself some survivability, as we'll see in a second. So overall, not bad, right? So stat-wise, speed is always nice. So you're already kind of getting an idea. She's a speed unit, which if you're an early game player, that's not the easiest thing for you to build. She's just awakening to attack, which is really weird because it's like she's not usually there to like one-shot or cleave. She's more there to have high effectiveness and high speed. She does have an exclusive equipment that gives her extra effectiveness, so just remember that. She does get that extra 16%. Right, now let's look at the skills. The S1 is pretty cool. So it decreases the combat readiness of the target by 10% when the enemy is debuffed. It's another 10%. Her other artifact adds 5%. That means if they are debuffed, you're pushing them back by 25% if you choose to give her that other exclusive equipment, or you can choose to give her the exclusive equipment that increases attack. So this, while it may not seem like much, is insane for PvE. Like for Golem, if you care about Golem, the Golem's not getting a turn, right? You do this skill, the Golem's not getting a turn, right? Some Abyss stages that can get pushed back by CR, they're not getting a turn. How are they going to get a turn when they're getting pushed back 25% to a unit that has almost a starting base speed of 124? That's super fast. You're going to be able to just push them back. And we'll see with the S3 why you really get to push them back. So again, first skill, not bad. In a PvP setting, not the best, but still quite annoying, right? Now the S2, and where I personally think the best exclusive equipment comes from. So a Texel enemy has a 100% chance to decrease hit chance for 1 turn and make him unable to be healed for 1 turn, and dispels 1 buff. This will dispel 2 buffs if you give her the exclusive equipment, which is super nice because that's basically all buffs at the start of the fight, right? If you open with this skill, you're basically stripping immunity and you're stripping barrier, and then you're applying unhealable and decrease hit chance. And decrease hit chance is pretty annoying. This skill is only on a 3-turn cooldown, and you can soul burn it to ignore effect resistance and apply those nasty debuffs, which is amazing, right? So very, very cool too. I've always thought her S2 looks amazing too. I love her S2. I always thought it looked really, really great. And now the S3, which is what she's actually known for, and it's going to be just so much control onto one target. So attacks the enemy with the whip, decreasing buff duration for 1 turn. Again, why does that matter? Immunity, right? So if they open with immunity, you can strip the immunity, essentially. You can't soul burdens to ignore effect resistance, which does hurt her because there's always that 15% chance they'll resist, and this skill doesn't do pretty much anything. But if it does hit, it decreases the target to 0, essentially. It takes away their turn, applies decreased speed, and gives herself skill nullifier, right? And we all know what skill nullifier does. You can't do damage to them for 1 time. You have to pop it, right? This basically takes a unit out of the game for at least 2 turns. It's essentially a 2 turns turn. Why? Putting them back to 0 and putting decreased speed, that's crushing. She's going to be lapping them before they even get a turn. So essentially, you're stunning that unit for 2 turns. And then with the S1, you can really lock them down. So really, really good skill when it comes to locking down certain targets. One of the reasons she's actually good against the old Bassar is because she used to push back Bassar and make Bassar useless. Nowadays, this could actually be used against Falconeer Clury if they're going for a more aggressive team comp, which is why I really do see her coming back in the future, because she has a very, very good speed contester kit. So where can you use her? So as far as PvE, she is pretty insane for PvE when it comes down to locking down bosses. Again, the decreased hit chance, the unable to be healed, pushing them back, decreased speed, and then just pushing them back with the S1. It's a lot, right? It's a lot for the boss to take. So PvE, Abyss, really, really solid. And Golem, if you like to do Golem, although it's not one of those important hunts. As far as PvP, where can you use her? Well, she's typically running around 290 to 300 speed, right? So that's why it's kind of hard to build. And she's there to speed contest, whether it's cleave teams or whether you're speed contesting particular units. There's been a lot of F. Clury top model Lilica running around recently, and she can easily deal with those top model Lulicas because you're able to just reset them and take away their turn, regardless of if they have immunity or anything. Killing 1 unit, essentially going 1 for 1, and then you're able to come in and dispel buffs, apply debuffs, and control the pace of the fight. So I definitely do see her coming back in the future. As of right now, really hard unit to build, really, really fun. I'm actually going to do a couple of summons for her because I kind of want one, because people have been getting more aggressive in RTA, right? And it never hurts to have more speed contesters. So Lidica overall, pretty solid. Now on to the other one that everyone's probably wondering about, Bassar. So this one, oh man, Bassar is just so insane. So first, base stats, you may be wondering, he doesn't seem like he has a lot of defense, but then you realize he has 700 defense. That's knight level defense. The HP is low. Yes, it is very low. But with that much defense, that's pretty crazy. The other thing, look at the base attack. That base attack is one of the highest in the game, which is really weird because he's not supposed to be doing damage, but he comes out doing a pretty good amount over time, and he even starts with high effectiveness. This guy's base stats are amazing. It's some of the best base stats you're going to get in this game. As far as the awakening, effectiveness, he kind of needs it. It's pretty nice. So if you have extra Bassars, it's always nice to have extra effectiveness. Now, let's look as far as skills. The S1... It's surprisingly annoying when you're going against a good Bassar. Why? Attacks a caster with Wind Magic, has a 75% chance to transfer 1 debuff from the caster to the enemy, and inflict an extra random debuff. This means that it can be 2 debuffs whenever they try to debuff you, and it comes up more than you would think. which is kind of annoying, but I believe it does require you to be debuffed, right? So it's not going to just randomly add a debuff, right? It has to transfer, then give, right? So you do have to get that debuff first, but it's going to happen if you go against certain units like Dizzy, right? Where you can actually transfer, give that extra debuff to them, right? So nothing crazy, but pretty annoying, right? Now the S2, this S2 is actually also so annoying. It's an AoE attack that decreases hit chance and decreases attack. Now, it doesn't have 100%. It only goes to 75%, but there are two really nasty debuffs that essentially are telling the opponent, you're not going to be doing that much damage to me, right? And this skill is also AoE, so you can start thinking Abyssal Crown on Bassar. And when you start thinking Abyssal Crown, you realize when he uses this skill, he can also be stunning on top of giving a glancing hit and a decreased attack. And it's only on a 3-turn cooldown. Now, as far as the S3, this is, if you're pulling for Bassar, this is why. It's the S3. This S3 can win you fights outright. So what does it do? Attacks all enemies, dispels all buffs, applies unable to be buffed, and decreases combat readiness by 30%. That is so much packed into one skill. And you may be wondering, okay, but what happens if you don't have that much effectiveness? Well, you can soul burn this bad boy, and unless it's a Holiday U-Fiend or a fire unit, you're guaranteed to get all of that. You're guaranteed to get all the dispel. You're guaranteed to get the pushback. You're guaranteed to get the unable to be buffed. This skill is just game breaking, and it's one of the reasons people hate Bassar, because you can either give him an Abyssal Crown so this skill can also stun, or you can give him Book to make it guaranteed to just soul burn and hit. Both very, very good options, both very, very annoying options. So you may be wondering, where can I use them, right? PvE doesn't really have a PvE, right? So don't think too much PvE. PvP though, ooh. This skill counters Fallen Cecilia. This skill counters Last Rider Crawl. This skill counters Elena to some extent. This skill counters any unit in this game that relies on buffs. It counters Diani. It counters so many units in this game that it's ridiculous how strong it actually is. And the fact you can soul burn it to get it guaranteed is amazing. This is also where you typically do see it is in Sedum cleaves, because you're able to push up your challenger Dami by 40% and push the enemy back by 30%. And he's a mage, so he can also carry Book if you choose not to soul burn, right? So there's different plays you can do, or Sedum can give him the soul burn. So it's so powerful for Arena, for wombo combos. It will get you out of Master so quickly. If you're hard stuck Master, this guy can get you out of Master in 2 seconds, because he's so powerful with the right cleave team. It's insane how much this does. In RTA, it becomes a forced ban. If they don't have a way to A, outspeed him, or B, deal with his debuffs, they just lose. It's a forced ban. If they pick Diani, or if they pick Emo Crawl and Fallen Cecilia, this became a must ban. And if they don't, you just win, because you can just soul burn, boom, push him back, set up the unable to be buffed. GG. You tried, bro. GG. Good game. Just this skill alone is already so good. And the fact that he also has an S2 that can also stop the enemy from hitting you, it's just amazing. So now, I normally don't do this, but I do actually have 2 builds I can show you for him, and because I know you guys love Bassar. So the first build is the Speed Bassar. So this is the Speed Bassar. Typically what you're trying to do with this Bassar is you're trying to take turn 1 and you're trying to push them back and stun them, right? So a very support-oriented Bassar. He's just there to push the enemy back and take away turn 1. Really, really powerful, really, really strong. You put unable to be buffed before they even get a turn, and then you take the turn with your own team since they got pushed back by 30%. On the other hand, though, we also have Tank Bassar. We mentioned he has extremely high defenses, so we take that idea of high defenses and we slap on a bunch of tank stats on a high control unit with Abyssal Crown, and now you're seeing someone that's hard to take down, that's stunning your team, that's pushing you back. And what's nice about Slow Bassar is that the enemy, like Lilius, right? So Lilius, we mentioned, is kind of a counter, or even Holiday Yuffie. The idea with Slow Bassar is you give up your turn 1, but you let them take the turn, you let them set up, and then you're able to still do your soul burn and strip all their hard work and push them back. You don't hit the Yuffie, it doesn't matter, they lose a turn of setup, right? So they both basically screw over buff teams, right? So again, both those builds are quite nice. Now we are going to do a couple summons on the Lidica banner. I don't have that many, and I can't do the X10, so we're doing it old school style. I don't expect to get anything. We haven't been getting a ton of luck with summonings. It's just been kind of rough recently. But we'll do a couple just because we have the extra resources, and having summoning dry. At least hopefully we get at least one shiny. That's always the hope. You get one shiny in 10 to keep the good rates. But it looks like today's not a good. Yeah, see, it's not my day today. So that is all I have for you guys today. I hope you'll enjoy it. Again, to summarize the video, Bassar, you really should consider pulling. Lidica, a spice pick. She can be really unique. She's kind of fun, but it's not something you need, right? And it's hard to build. So that is all I have for you guys today, and I will see y'all next time. Peace.